Alrighty then, welcome to Dynasty the Podcast Show. I am your host, Ira Thomas Bush the Fourth, and this is another installment of just a great show, just a great podcast. I just want to say thank you for paying attention and listening. I hope everybody gets something out of things that I bring to them, and stories and stuff that I witness or feel strongly about, or hopefully I could guide and continue to do my purpose that I have on earth, that I have here on earth. Now, I don't know if I misplaced my phone or whatnot, but I'm a little disappointed. I'm not going to be putting it on Twitter X by itself, and that's another version that I put it out. I might have left it at the facility, moving too fast. I don't know. But it depends on if it's going to be there when I get back. It's not in my bag. And but today's been still pretty positive and pretty productive. I've been very active since I got to Washington D.C. area. People always talk about one of the things that and I like that I don't really, since I've been doing my podcast, I've been talking about myself, and I've been secluded by myself for a while now, so I have the ability to talk about myself. I don't have to talk about nobody but me, and I still I still put a lot of time in referencing things that I did when I was younger, and I try not to be selfish with the attention that I gained from speaking, but when people don't come forward, or people are not is confident as you about their truth, then it's okay. I'm okay with that. But I'm a little agitated. Hopefully nobody stole my phone. I went to the bathroom in the library or the facility. This is actually a pretty nice. The area that I'm in, the space that I'm in is pretty nice. So hopefully I didn't lose it or drop it or whatnot. So, and I was rushed to the bathroom pretty quick. So it's probably back where my living, where I'm at, staying while I'm down here. Um, Now today was great. I do my usual thing. I get up early in the morning. They have breakfast. We eat breakfast, and I got up and went to the senator office down there. And I was it was a lot of hearings going on today. I've been doing the hearings since I got here. So as soon as my first day here, the first building I went in is the last building I've been going in, coming in and coming out ever since I've been here. I have no ill will to go to no other place but that place, because that's where the most activity is. That's where the people are. Basically, do you know what's thing? It's a time and space right now where the United States is in defense, and and they got people that are sitting on the There's supposed to, when you are doing a hearing, it's supposed to be like this. I'm gonna use an example after I tell it. This is how it's supposed to be. The people that are in question are the defense. The people that are giving out the the backdrop of the hearing or the issue that may be at hand. They're the ones asking the question. They're the ones trying to basically put things back into order and restore order into things. And it's not like that. These people that are sitting up here high are actually on the defense. And these people that are the defense, it's like yes man for these people. And it's like, why is it so lopsided? Why are these people making a mockery of basically the system we call, basically the law? Basically, the corruption is right there in your face every day. And I go in there with, I smile, I laugh, and I'm just amazed at how blatant and unjust they actually are. Every situation today wasn't like that. It was a little positivity in there, but I'm gonna go down. That was just my legit. And then this is my example, because back when, I think I'll say 2015, 16, when I was, I unfortunately had to go to court for child support, and it was unnecessary. Somebody tried to put me on back pay, and I didn't respond fast enough for the people, and it was like the judge, the person typing up the summary, and then the person who filed the case against me, and then there was another person, and it was like all of them versus me, and I had no defense. I'm like, well, how do you defend yourself about something that I actually do, which is take care of my child? and it might be not as much money as you want, but I know she's taken care of. And that was basically like I was caught off guard by how they were not trying to hear my side of the story. And that was just an example of how lopsided things could be. Now, fast forward, it's not an issue. That is no longer an issue for me. My child is in middle school. The communication for monetary things is never going to be an issue for me and her. I told her that. I let her mom know her mom did a great job once we got a little more mature. Once she got a little bit more mature mentally on how it affects me and her. The fact that she put herself on federal paperwork is kind of crazy to me, and she did me even worse with me being on the defense. So I was just looking at that as like the goofiest stuff we talked about. That was the stuff we talked about before I had a child with her, and I was confused with why she went that way so fast. And it was just one of those situations. But that's just one of my experiences in the court. Probably, how, just talking about it. But long story short, we can move on. That's not an issue. That was just an experience that happened to me. Now let's continue. The people that was speaking at the budget hearing, that's the one I went to first, was the chairman, the so-called chairman of the senators, and Senator Merkley, which is actually a well-spoken person, but he's basically the lawyer for the chairman, and he does a lot of the speaking and a lot of this pillow softening up the cushion. And I didn't say before, I don't like, I'm not going to get in the habit of leaving early. It was just a lot going on, and the other person that got to speak was Senator Whitehouse that I heard, and then the defense person was the honorary Bill Cassidy, and also Miss Karen Glenn, and okay, let me speak. Yeah, he spoke by himself, and Miss Karen Glenn, she spoke as well. I want to talk about her, and I'm going to give my. I'm not going to give too much of what she was speaking on because she was speaking so low, and the one I caught, that's the one I'm going to give my rebuttal on. Also, Barry Hudson, he was speaking riddle rattle, critter craddle. I didn't get my nothing. I don't have much to say about what he was talking about. It was basically some yes man. Basically these people are coming yes man. Now I'm gonna do my research because Dr. Molly Dahl, she's a younger person. She looks fairly young, like she could be in my age range of how she is, if not younger. I'm 34, so I don't hate to age myself, but I don't mind aging myself neither because I'm not trying to be in a position of people falsifying or being delusional to say that they me and they don't look like me. They not my age group and they ain't experienced what I experienced and I ain't stunned what they own. And that's just how it's gonna go. When I speak when I know what I know. And yeah, I'm going to do my research on her before I give them any opinion because I want people in my age or younger to be successful. I don't want these people that be sitting up. I'm not gonna say I don't want because they got to learn how to they have to learn how to adjust, and they got to learn how they got to be a little bit more humble, not based off them not having experience, but based off what they actually deep down inside where they actually come from, their beginnings, and how the Constitution and was formed. You know what I'm saying? Like they have to be humble. The fact that a lot of these people were not servicemen, like army men, that is in their age range, and they're politicians, and they didn't have to go the hardest route to sit here on this table, and they do a lot of disrespectful things to people that age range or a little bit older, and they get there so they're so arrogant. Like I'm gonna talk about it in the first hearing that I heard. Some of these people don't even supposed to be speaking. So it's just like at this point, not that they didn't have nothing to say when they first started or people didn't appoint them, but it's like at this point, it's time to not. And they know there was a lot of people sitting behind these people today, but they want to come up and act like they be doing their job. They don't act like they've been there every day. They want to act like they've been signing in every day, and that's a big thing. But we're gonna get to it, and I'm not gonna sit here and diss really. I'm just gonna correct, and I'm gonna come correct most of the time. If I'm not, I'm gonna correct myself. Then I'm gonna come correct. So let's go right into what the budget hearing was. What Senator Merkley was. This is basically what the issue was. This is how the chairman speaks started off. The Social Security program is one of the programs. Um, it's a program. The Social Security program, the chairman said, was to keep. It's a program to keep people out of poverty. That was the first thing he said. This program is under stress. So this is the issue right now. The issue of this hearing was that the program's under stress, and he also put that it was a great topic for the hearing. So that's how he started it off, basically like that. And I have an issue. Now I'm gonna just tell you a quick story about Social Security for my in the spectrum. Um, ever since I've been in elementary, there have been people who've been trying to duplicate. This is gonna go right into what one of the lady came up and said on the defense side, which is what I have an issue with. It's because all of them sound like they're trying to go in and do some modern day slave type of situation. But the Social Security is one of the most fraudulent things. It's coming out as one of the most fraudulent things. It's coming out as one of the most biggest Ponzi schemes known to the social just in any country. You know what I'm saying? The fact that they got people from different countries with social security cards and y'all still trying to come up with, you know what I'm saying? Y'all try to the social when you get up when you're from not this when you're from say you come from Africa, say you come from Asia, say you come from any big country with powerful people, like what your DNA makeup is made of. This is what I'm trying to say. The fact that I was here and my DNA makeup says this is what my social security is. This is what I was predicted to be from socially. When they put that number, that number, what they were doing behind the scene was giving it to some scabini, non talented, no one nowhere near my abilities. They've been doing all these scientists, green, army soldier as tactics to try to defend what they did to switch around the trajectory of their success or their what they're going to be in life. They've been doing this for a long time, you know what I'm saying? And that's basically what I got from this hearing. And they kind of coming out front saying, okay, this is what I got from them overall. Now I'm going to go right into Senator Merkley. He's like, he is happy that, he's happy that this was a topic today as well. And he said 1935 business of Social Security will protect the future. That's what a president or somebody important quoted to be saying about Social Security, which is how long this is when they thought they were in like that was like the time of after when everybody went flat broke type of situation. They figure out how to basically use the reason they stole when prohibition when they stopped basically how they got rich was selling alcohol. So they did like a whole 5 to 10 years where they were in and they started robbing blacks, killing blacks for their wealth. When they were making moonshine and selling it for dirt cheap and selling it for more to everybody else, and burning down it. One of my favorite movies is Harlem Nights. That showed how black wealth was obtained. One of the ways black wealth was obtained in the 1920s is when everybody couldn't drink, and then they had the underground um bars and restaurants and stuff like that. So that was like a short thing how people were making money, but they were using the police force, they were using the Ku Klux Klan still. This was in the night. So this is the stuff that they kind of champion. Like they had like this stuff is not known. So I'll be looking at the quotes that they're using. It's like y'all act like we ain't even informed in my age range of the stuff that y'all was doing. We're not looking into it deeply, but y'all trying to bring it all the way back 100 years because we in 1920. So if you do the math, they planning on the right now. They stealing, they taking, they burning down buildings, they burning down foundations, and this is in the black and brown communities. You know what I'm saying? This is what this is what the play they running right now. So if I'm down here speaking like this, right at Washington D.C., which is supposed to be the capital of the United States of America, which is over all 50 states supposedly. Let's continue to what he was saying. The previous Social Security. Oh, this is what he said. In the next 6 years, the Social Security funds will not be there. This is 1 year elevated from what they expected. This is a priority to the chairman right now. Um, he said 68 million people will still are still getting mailed and electrically their Social Security funds. So you get yours in the mail, or you can get yours right through direct deposit. They're still getting it out there. And he mentioned something about we need to free it's racially driven. That's what he basically was saying. He doesn't want this to be racially driven, or why we not successfully passing out Social Security. And this is basically what he said out his mouth. If I wasn't listening good enough, that's basically what he said. And everybody was sitting there looking there, and the chairman was just looking back like, you know what country state he from? So it's half and half. You know, it's a good, I won't say half and half, but it's about 30 to 40% now over there to black, and then once they get the youth in there, in them 6 to 10 years, it's gonna be about 40 to 50. So he looking at it just like everybody else. He gonna be 75, 80, and he gonna be looking goofy as hell for going against the wrong people. And it's been like that because it was a big slave trade in South Carolina, which is why I talk about this, because South Carolina, I'm going to speak on some more the other hearing, which he also spoke, and he was. I'm not going. It's not really a this. He was just busy today. Just look how it is. This is important because if the white race doesn't have the Social Security and they don't eat off the backs of blacks and browns, then they're not gonna. They're gonna be poor, and that's basically how it looks. And the Social Security is basically geared towards the seniors and the old elderly, but it also is attained to the a lot of it is attained to the people who are fraudulently call themselves soldiers, United States soldiers, and they get their Social Security early if they get, something happens to them at war, if they don't work, or if they obtain enough years. If they start at the age of 18 and they finish at the age of 48 with 20 years in, they get their socials before 50. And sometimes it's probably 10 years, it's probably 5 years you could get Social Security depending on how healthy you are and make more off of it. It all depends on how you operate in that terms. So they are looking at it like it's going to be, it's a lot of people that have committed fraud in that way, in that manner. And I'm speaking on it because I'm up here trying to get, I'm trying to get my income tax checks from 3 years, and they over here got my name spelled IRBU, and then they ain't even put my middle name in. So somebody down here doing some treasonous ass activity down in the capital of Washington D.C. So we got to get things figured out, and this is socially. Like I said, people want to steal information and data. And I ain't even typing it; I'm writing it, and that's been happening for a long time now. Now, what that was said, that was a few things that I caught. What Senator Merkley was speaking on. Now, when it comes to Senator Whitehouse, this guy didn't. All I heard was blah 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 blah, because he speaks so arrogantly and he does not held himself accountable to the things that Merkley was like, I told him to do Social Security like 10 years ago, before COVID, before anything looked crazy, when we had a black president, all this stuff. He was telling it straight up how it goes. But this is somebody speaking on this from a lawyer standpoint, or a lawyer's mindset, because he's not a lawyer anymore. Or he probably was a lawyer or went to law school. But he speaks with the most he speaks with the most sense at most times. And he probably don't want to say some of the stuff. It's just how his job. And he's too old to be combating with the lies. So he's doing the right thing by putting the truth out there. And I ain't even know. I don't know what state he from. I just look at it like this. I know I know the senators that the senator came in from the state of Florida and he left right out. And the other one did the same thing at the other hearing. These people are not. I'm not trying to diss my state because I got family there. I got my grandmother there and I got my grandfather there. So the biggest thing for me is, get this stuff situated properly and stop attacking, doing y'all your little hazing and manipulating just off the face that I know y'all don't. It ain't. It's a just put it like this: when it comes to people that you intertwine with and your family, it's a lot of people that I feel like y'all attack, and I don't like that energy. I don't like the fact that y'all colorizing stupid stuff in 2026. Y'all making yourself go backwards, and y'all making yourself internally. It's not gonna end. It's not gonna. It's not gonna pan out the way you want it, based off your jealousy and your hatred for the color of my skin or the color of somebody I'm related to or know very closely. So, you got to get things organized way better on that standpoint before you can even speak. And that's really what it looked like to me. They don't allow people my age or a little bit older to run rampage and do all this treasonous ass activity without, you know, properly going about it in a federal way. And I'm looking at people. I need my little $3,000-4,000 income tax check. I got children like y'all got children. I want to continue the process of funding my nonprofit and getting my trademarks. I don't need no more delays. I'm down here signing in Virginia, Nebraska, and Florida now. All this weirdo stuff, because I ain't even speak on what I what happened is I gotta look up what was a breakfast club, what was a breakfast club in slave time. What does that mean? What is that? What does that stand for when they got a little breakfast club? You know what I'm saying? What does that mean? Because I went to a Nebraska breakfast club this morning. I hopped in. I told y'all I came in early enough to catch all that. Both of their senators spoke. Now they're all, look, the senator for Nebraska, the lady Miss Fisher, she was speaking real greasy today. She was speaking real greasy at that but she was speaking in front of her people, so I don't mind that. But it was more on, we are the ones that control the missiles. We are the one that control this and that. The defense of war and all this crazy. This wasn't about no education. These people all look, and they was in there making jokes, and I would give this person, they got a little shop over here that's based from some one of the Nebraska bar owners put their thing out, but they was out here making jokes, like sundown rule type jokes. And I'll be looking at it like, I ain't really intimidated by going out there and even staying out there for a few years. I have to make sure my child is uh, graduates high school. So everybody know it took a lot for me to come out here to Washington D.C. to even leave the state of Florida based off my child being located there. But they still doing practicing these white supremacy tactics. And I'm not really stressing it, but I'm confused with why they so. It's like when you got, it's like that. I don't know what the older generation that's probably retired thinks, but it's like a time for posturing and it's a time for like real retaliation. It's not like physical retaliation. It's literally like, go out of the country and figure out a way to like dismantle their whole ecosystem of survival, and besides physical, I mean like every other way, like mean like, and not really mental. I won't say attack no one's mental. I don't play by my intellectual property, because clearly they attack my intellectual property. People, once you know me or meet me, you will see exactly what I'm saying. It's very noticeable. It wasn't done by me. It was done because they wanted to make me be the one that's not intelligent, that's not slow. And you can see how I look. I look like a regular person, regular individual, but you will get the understanding if you meet me in person. And I'm not stressing it because it hasn't affected me, my performance speaking. It hasn't affected my performance when I go into these hearings to write down and write. It hasn't affected my potential of making my poem books or nothing like that, or even my political books, depending on how far I go in school, because you can't be uneducated and then not, you got to actually go through the steps to go. I could do councilman, but I'm talking about like going to be a senator. You gotta do the steps. But I'm not stressing it too much. Everybody want to jump down and be something that they're not. I'm going to be who I exactly I'm supposed to be. So yeah, let's continue with on what I had to say. Um, well, this is what he started off saying, and then I'm gonna tell you my opinion. This is Senator Whitehouse. Protecting Social Security has become more urgent. That's what he said. Like basically his reason why speaking on it. Now, This guy doesn't miss an opportunity to speak. Every time I be in the room with him, he speaks every time. And he's not my thing. The first thing he said after that was Elon little muskrats. And I that blew my top because he does it every time he speaks. He doesn't have nothing to say. He's not intelligent. He's too arrogant to he's not intelligent enough to be arrogant. You get what I'm saying? You ever met somebody be like, you got in this position for some reason, but it ain't because you smart. It ain't even because you look. It ain't even the look. It ain't even how you sound. Somebody put you in position. So shut up. Don't say nothing. All you need to do is have somebody that intelligent, that smart next to you to speak. I would literally be like, I'm here in my presence. I'm not the person that come here. I don't have the intellectual property to speak on things that they are talking about. But my assistant that I found that came to approach me, that emailed me from college, is this smart. He's this person. He will sit next to me and be speaking. And that's how you build a rapport with the whole entire masses and the people. This is what the chairman got to his position. He does not want to sound too smart, and he's from the South, and he's in position with financial resources that he would never put on stage with y'all because he actually knows how to work with the people, the black and brown people. He does not care how he postured with the white supremacists. I could tell that for him now, especially at his age now. He is giving up on trying to separate black and brown in South Carolina. Even though I know how it was formed, everybody know how it's formed. It's in the history books. You either stay long enough to be in America and you want to stay for the rest of your life, or you leave the country and do your thing. And it depends basically on how you get the rest of your family out. If you gotta stay here with the rest of your family and protect it as a man, that's what you usually do. If you gotta be a woman and get educated and protect them that way, you do that and build a foundation and have a strong person next to you to help you. That's what it is about. But but don't come up there. This is the stuff that I felt. He basically went at a United Nations member. This man is a billionaire. Like you're complaining about money for your Social Security. He could help you probably in the instant. All this stuff that you complaining about, this is somebody that could be your ally, and he probably don't want to help with United States because he got put into a position earlier. Was it late like middle last year? Probably around the summer when unfortunately him and when they did the little Doge situation, and then him and the person that's supposedly running the country right now got into, like, basically they did the split right after they did that ceremony and agreement on that. But it was one of those things, like, he probably just was, it's for attention, and the fact that America is known for all the social things like movies, sports, and whatnot. And it's still a lot of money here. It's still a lot of people that could gain wealth. He could gain wealth off of just speaking with and having business with. And he's probably going to eliminate these old haters like him. And he's too arrogant to shut up. So from especially if you think you are speaking for the black and brown people in the United States of America, we ask you not to speak on our behalf when it comes to Elon Musk, and who you blatantly disrespected his father's last name on C-SPAN or CNN or wherever chasing that was putting that hearing on today. You need to just not say anything, and that's how I feel about him. Now, going into what the defense of Honorary Bill Cassidy was speaking on, he was like, Graham wanted to continue to try to socially enslave. This is what I got from him. I'm sorry, I meant to say chairman. I'm not from Merkley and chairman. I don't want to get in trouble. I still want to. I don't want nobody to nothing to magically disappear around here. Hopefully, I can find my phone. Look, the Social Security program has become one of the biggest Ponzi scheme. This is what I was speaking on, and it's led by a bunch of members. I talk about the type of members that y'all know what members I'm talking about. So, um, yeah, the stuff he was saying, he just was speaking like an ultimate dickhead, and he just sounded like a fan. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't like what he was speaking. And then we go right to the Miss Karen Glenn. She said she had three reasons. The one that I'm going to highlight is the experience of 1983. This was a sophisticated way to switch white people out with minorities because there was no slaves and wealth and social security was, you know, we wasn't able to tap in for sure. They used to, unless you really had was known or famous, and they still was bird feeding the athletes and famous people. And like I said, what that number read was more important because it's based off Africa, based off Europe, based off London, and all this other stuff. If I go turn my Social Security into London, what they gonna do for that? Because this is basically who had control over the Social Security, and this is basically why the World Trade Centers and all the 9/11 stuff happened because we owe and we defrauded Asia and Middle East people, and people are not understanding of that because it's enough information to point to directly what happened, and it was a very big deal. And I'm probably guesstimating who did what. I don't even want to blame them countries. I'm just saying why it actually happened. It could be some completely different reason or country, but it seemed that way. So the portrait of what they put out and how people are retaliating and responding to these other incidents. That's what it seems like. But I'm not going to, I try my best. Today, I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm trying to be divided. But the more shows I do, the more I have to continue to remind people and speak on things. I be out and about and they do some of the most hazing, stupid things like I'm supposed to be okay with it. Just based off me being in the building. Just based off me going into the office that I go in and sign my name. Y'all messing up my name at the y'all won't even let me at the into the IRS, the big building IRS. They act like I was some kind of person that ain't even from the United States of America. They told me I couldn't even walk in the door. I had to go to the local building. That's what they told me, and I'm not locally from Washington D.C., so why I need to go to the local building? They did the same type of tactics in Florida. They act like I ain't me, I ain't who I am. They act like the school board ain't the dude defraud my name. They act like they ain't slander my me all in all kind of police force and sheriff forces, and they allowing it like this is some imaginary made up junk going on. So, you know, that was more on the side of very important and very like it was there. But then I went to the judiciary hearing, and I'm going to speak very, mildly and basically what I got from the hearing was, what I caught. It was about it was four judges that were nominated to be. It was four people that were nominated to be judges, and the positive and the great thing about it was that three out of the four judges were females. So I love seeing that. I'm very and one of the females were actually African American from South Carolina. Her name was her last name was Clark, and she's a graduate from Liberty. Our chairman came in and spoke about it, and I like the way he cleaned it up because he was a little late, but he got there to make sure he from his state, did the proper introduction. So it's all good, and I like that. I got ties to South Carolina. My grandmother, my mom's mother, and her father is tied in to South Carolina and Alabama. So I know I got people spaced out everywhere in the South. So I'm more, once I get to that state and I get to tap in properly, I know I'll find relatives down there too. So yeah, I just like the fact that that's where that's the part I came in on. It was a little bit of stuff that was spoken on before I got there, but that was the basis of that judiciary. Stuff was going on in Montana I just had missed. I think stuff is going on, and I think they had wrote down the itinerary for it. It was going on in the Virgin Islands, and I think Virginia had some stuff going on at the end of it. But I read the itinerary before, but I was not able to stay. I had to do my job, which is my podcast. I had to prepare, and I'm here. So, that's how I look at it. So, shout out to that young lady. I'm glad. I hope she gets the nomination. One of the ladies was getting very I can't remember her name. She did it. She was a little shaky. She had a lot of questions. People were putting a lot of work on her, as far as asking a question, and she seemed like she's one of those who's okay with being frauds. And what I was speaking on about Caucasians trying to switch places with Black African descendant people, she's okay with that type of energy. So I'm more than I don't want nobody lying as a judge, and it's definitely 2026. So you got to get your life. You got to find out, figure it out. We don't want nobody with bad karma, bad, you know, lying, doing defense type of judge work. I mean, defense type of lawyer work as a judge. We don't need that type of energy coming into the new age. And it was also a young a young some a guy that was nominated. I didn't get his name either, but this is going to be good. I like that there was more women up there. That hopefully they pick the correct people to be judges, and it's really like a for life type of situation when you get to become a judge. But that's going to be it for today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, listening. This is one of the greatest things I could do is put my effort into my podcast like I am, and really putting out great information. And I would suggest people from any, especially my state of Florida, if you have issues like I'm having, and people want to steal your identity, and it ain't about being public. It's gonna be tough. It ain't gonna happen overnight, but come down, see how it is, man, because it's just as prejudice and everywhere in the state, and hopefully we can get it corrected. I need more people to be on the offense in the correct way to get them to stop doing all this hazing and tactics to try to switch positions. Once you crash, once you destroy your name, nobody want to be who you is. Just slowly climb back to where you want to be, and don't try to bring nobody down with you. That's my suggestion for it. And that's pretty much it. So thank y'all for listening. This is Dynasty the Podcast Show. I am your host, Ira Thomas Bush the Fourth, and I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.